Is that showing? Yes, brilliant. So hello, I'm Karolina Laskowska. I'm the director of the Underpinnings Museum. The project is a digital museum dedicated to the history of underwear. There's an online archive with over 400 objects that we are adding to constantly and several free access digital exhibitions. Today, I'm going to be sharing some of my favourite 19th century garments from the collection at quite speed, if you'll forgive me how I rushed through. There we go. So first up is this carved wooden busk. It's a sweetheart busk. These were originally used to support the centre front of corsets or stays and were commonly gifted as love tokens between sweethearts. You can see in this example, we have the carved initials A and W and the sweetheart motifs. A detail which doesn't actually come across in the photos that I find rather lovely is that it's actually curved. So it would work a lot better with human anatomy than a flat piece of wood. And next we have this cross stitch and silk ribbon garter. So before suspender belts were invented, garters were used to hold up stockings for people of all genders. Most of them were very simply constructed with a simple band of decorative fabric with ribbon ties. This would have originally been part of a pair, and it's got this lovely cross-stitched floral pattern and originally green silk ribbons that have largely now shattered. Next, we have this early corset. It's just an exquisite example of craftsmanship. I absolutely love this piece. It's entirely hand-stitched with decorative embroidery, lots and lots of cording, particularly around the bust. If we look on the interior here, you can really see how wonderfully the craft is kind of showcased. You can see how beautifully it's made, almost as beautiful as the exterior. And one of my favorite details is this stamp of the original owner's name, very, very faded, but you can just about make out Julia A. Hobbing. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to find any information about the original owner, but hopefully that will change one day. Next, we have this wedding garter, which was hand embroidered by Mrs. Clara Jane Rareford Brown of 5 Litfield Place in Clifton for her wedding day. Now, in contrast to the earlier garter I shared, this has what was then very exciting new textile technology in the form of elastic, which must have been quite a lot more comfortable than a rigid ribbon tied tightly. And next is this red woolen corset. I absolutely adore the colour of this piece. This wool is still so vibrant, such a long time later. And I really love the beautiful flossing embroidery on this piece as well, which is both decorative and functional in that it helps to secure the pieces of baleen in place. It's quite a typical 1860s silhouette in that it's very short and it has the gored hips and bust line, but still quite a mild curve to this piece. Now we move on to the 1870s with this red cage crinolette. Another piece with a gorgeous colour with the red again, as Hilary mentioned, keeping the body warm, I assume was the thinking behind these colours. It was a lightweight method to support outer skirts without the need for lots of heavy petticoats. And this kind of has the streamlined shape that was a transitional period between the wider crinolines of the 1850s and onwards and the later bustles. Now, this is one of my favourite pieces in the entire museum collection and is very, very special. It's a luxurious example of a maternity corset designed to be worn in pregnancy with details that allowed the wearer to adapt the piece to their changing shape. It supported the abdomen and it supported the back. So it was a piece for the wearer's comfort rather than shaping to a fashionable silhouette. The vibrant silk is very, very much embellished with the flossing embroidery, the silk velvet trims, and this lovely rosette at the centre front. Now, if we look at the interior, we can see it's very heavily structured. There's around 94 pieces of baleen and several silk bones distributed throughout. I quite enjoy these details of the, if you see at the centre front, there is the silk satin padding for the wearer's comfort and a now kind of damaged silk velvet trim at the bottom edge as well. And next we have a bust improver, because when nature doesn't provide, there is always padding. The hip and bust pads were commonplace in the late 19th century to exaggerate the figure for a more fashionable silhouette. And this example is crafted from a delicate striped cotton with this fine lace edge and a silk ribbon tie. Oh, sorry, went a little bit too far. So this corset is one of the most restrictive and extreme silhouettes in our entire collection, which carries with it a certain irony because it comes from the Warner brand. Now, Dr. Lucien Warner's corset brand came to prominence due to his claims of offering healthy corsets as an alternative to standard corsetry that was viewed as being too restrictive, and was, of course, incorrectly blamed for a whole host of health maladies. Now, in the later part of the 19th century, baleen was becoming increasingly scarce due to the overhunting of the baleen whale, and this forced corset manufacturers to innovate. The Warner brand was renowned for using its rust-proof coralline boning, a material manufactured from the fibers of the Mexican Ixtle plant. I hope I said that correctly. Next, we have this adorable miniature salesman corset, which was a traveling salesman's product sample. And although it's very much reduced in scale, the construction techniques, patterning, and materials are almost identical to that of everyday corsets from this time period. Now, finally, to round out a near century of stocking supporting technology, we have this very luxurious pair of hose supporters, a precursor to garter belts that were designed to be pinned onto corsets that lacked their own incorporated garters. As early elastics perished relatively quickly, it was often more prudent to use detachable straps. This example is crafted from watered silk ribbon, very fine machine lace trims, decadent silk rosettes, and gilded suspender clips that are still beautifully shiny even after all this time. That was a very small peek at our collection, all of which you can view online in a lot more detail. I hope you enjoyed that, and thank you for listening.
Karolina, thank you so much. Please look at the chat. Everyone's just swooning a little bit.
I haven't been able to see it whilst talking.
Yeah, there's a couple questions in there about specific things that you showed that maybe you could answer in the chat. But
yes, sorry, I can't seem to get Zoom back up. How do I?
No, that's if you stop your screen share. There you go at the bottom. So, but I think the most important thing though is how do we get to see these things? And Kate has asked, I think what we're all wondering is, it's such an amazing collection. How are you managing it? And do you have any plans to have physical exhibitions? And actually, could you say really quickly, because this actually started as a crowdfunder or a Kickstarter, or is it? It's so interesting.
Okay. That's a lot of questions in one go. I'm going to try and.
Sorry, no, that's okay. Just mostly about like, how did you start and what do you want to do in the future and how can we see it?
Okay, so the museum was founded in 2016 following a successful crowdfunding campaign on Kickstarter. Now, the kind of history of the project, my background is not in academia or museums work. I'm a designer, an underwear designer. And I've always found underwear history, incredibly inspiring, and studying objects a really, really useful resource for things like construction techniques and patterning. And I had built up quite a substantial collection of garments for my own reference. Now, my friend Lorraine Smith was visiting me one day and we were going through the collection, and she suggested, after I said as a joke that it would be a dream to open a museum one day, but that's utterly impossible, why not start it online? And this was an idea that kind of had never occurred to me, but we quickly realized this was possible and a really great way to connect with people and to share the collection with other people. And we ran the crowdfunding campaign. We teamed up with our photographer, Tiggs Rice, and it's just been growing ever since.
So are you planning to make these available? I mean, if somebody, I'm sure there's lots of people in this room who maybe want to study some of these pieces. Is there a way to do that? Just to contact you, or do you even allow that? Or
so It's of course free. Every object is very highly documented on our website. There's contextual information, dates, materials, and there's very, very detailed photos on many pieces. We try to get interior views, construction views, and so on. We unfortunately can't offer in-person study. The collection is actually split across several countries, and it's held privately. We just don't have the resources to arrange kind of study trips and things like that, unfortunately. But if anyone is seeking particular information on a piece, we can, offer what we can through our website, and maybe see if we can offer additional images and so on.
Thank you so much. I think it's really, really exciting, and also just really unique about collections. It's a very forward-thinking thing, because there's so many private collections out there that are completely inaccessible. So it's wonderful that you've done this and shown a glimpse of it. And I think we all probably have various ideas about things going, like, could you do outreach? Where is it? There's a lot going on there that would be really good. And actually, it's kind of a good segue to go ahead and announce our talk for next month.